Hello and welcome to the Real Estate Regroup Show. I am your host, LJ Walker, a real estate investor helping you realize your dreams of owning a home or investing in one. So I'm pretty sure many of you have heard Kim Zolciak from former Real Housewives of Atlanta, and of course she had her own show at one time, and Kroy Biermann. They're trying to sell their home for $6 million in order to avoid being foreclosed on November 7th of 2023. If you do recall, back in 2012 is when they bought the home that they're currently living in. They paid about $880,000 for it. And then, of course, they made some renovations. They took out a $1 million construction rider. They also got a home equity line of credit for $330,000. Here's the thing, unfortunately, they did not make the payments, and when they tried to file for modification, that failed. That did not go through. And as you know, neither one of them are really working. Kim does have her websites where she is selling, wigs and purses and things of that nature. But being that the modification was denied, they unfortunately have defaulted on their agreement. And they're facing the foreclosure as you know it. Many of you who have tuned into the show, you know that house is beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. However, not to sound hateful or anything, I did feel like it was a bit too much. Yes, they have a large family. They have 6 kids. However, a spa and an elevator, plus a lot of things were custom made. You know that's extra money. I understand that Kroy did some of the modifications, but I'm pretty sure he didn't do it alone. On top of that, I'm under the understanding that Kroy was sued for some of the modifications that he made as well. So that, of course, dipped into their pockets a bit, right? So here's the thing, guys, that you got to realize. When this happens, it can affect your credit score. Not to mention, on top of being foreclosed by the bank or trying to avoid the foreclosure from the bank, there is a tax lien on the home for over $1 million that has not been paid yet. This, by the way, is not the first time that they have faced foreclosure. In the past, they had faced it for $257,000. Were they able to overcome it? It's possible. I was listening to another YouTuber, Damien After Dark, and he mentioned that one of the friends loaned them $250,000. I need to have some of those friends myself, like Damien was mentioning, because you never know, when you hit a ditch, you need somebody to pull you out. So she's very lucky, the people that she has in her life, because most people don't have friends that I know that would loan them that amount of money. And I do know rich people. Okay, so this is now the second time. And then also, even the tax lien, she's had more than one tax lien, which is probably why she was denied the modification. You see, banks look at that. They look at your track record. And if your track record is shaky, then you may not necessarily always get what you ask for, what you want, because they look at this and they say, oh, there's a budgeting and discipline problem. We don't want to have to go through this again, because it costs money to take you to court. It's not free. Okay. I'm speaking because I'm a mortgage note investor. I'm also a private lender. So I've been there as well. So I know what I'm talking about. Those law fees, those legal fees, they really do add up. They really do. So now I want to go and talk to you guys a little bit more about the process of both the tax liens and mortgage notes in the state of Georgia. All right. So, as many of you know, tax liens take precedent over any kind of lien that you have in the state of Georgia. All right. And in most states in the United States, there's only 3 states where this is not the case, but in Georgia, it is the case. So the bank really got shook up. I'm pretty sure of it. They got shook when they saw those tax liens coming in on the property. Because, see, the tax lien, if it goes to the tax lien auction, the bank will lose their investment. So a lot of times the bank steps in first to take and recoup whatever losses they can so that they are paid. Because the bank does not want to lose money. Nobody really is in business to lose money, if you really think about it. Okay, so let's see. Let's talk about the tax lien process first, and then let's go over the mortgage note process. Okay. Typically, in Georgia, tax liens, it takes about 12 months before a lien holder can actually foreclose and then receive title to the property. So that means that, well, let me back up. First of all, Georgia sells what's known typically as redeemable deeds. Means that it goes to auction and it's bid on the face value. It's bid up on the face value. So since the tax lien is $1 million, that's where it starts. That doesn't mean that it's going to end at $1 million. It may go up to $3 million, depending on how many people are interested in purchasing the deed for this property, the redeemable deed for this property. Okay. Now, Kim, what she would have to do, Kim and Kroy, what they would have to do is, in order to get it back, they would have to pay the lien holder back whatever money they invested. So even though it's 1 million, if it went up, the bid went up to 3 million, they would have to pay the 3 million plus whatever penalties plus 20%. And that's how they would get their house back if it actually goes to lien auction. They have 12 months to do that. They have a whole year. The auctions are normally held in Georgia the first Tuesday of every month, typically on the steps of the courthouse, but there are some counties where you can actually do it online, especially now, since COVID occurred. But there are some counties where you still have to be there in person. I'm not exactly certain where this particular house is. I saw it. It's gorgeous. The neighborhood, I love it. But I'm still not certain exactly where, because Atlanta is big. It's not, it's not a little tiny city. You understand me? So anyway, if they don't pay back within a year, then the person who owns that redeemable deed can foreclose on that property and it becomes theirs. Okay? So that's another reason why when people say they think that tax liens are predatory, I say no, because Kim and Kroy were given, they're given a lot of chances to get things straight. This is not the first time that this has happened to them. And even then, after that 12-month period, they're still given enough time to pay everything back. So if they lose it, then I say, you know what, that's really on them. You can't blame the government or anybody else. They have to practice discipline. And some people, unfortunately, have to hit rock bottom before they learn that particular lesson. All right, so now, second position in Georgia is the mortgage. All right. Mortgage notes, in my opinion, are a lot easier to buy because most people don't know about those at all. And they're typically not listed in the newspaper like tax liens are. They're typically also, there's not too many websites that list mortgage notes, and even the ones that do only list a limited amount of only list a limited amount of mortgage notes. They don't list like every single one that's there, right? So anyway, moving forward. So as mentioned, what they owe right now on the mortgage is $300,000. Okay. So Georgia is a non-judicial foreclosure state, which typically means that as a lender, as a mortgage note holder, you can foreclose on their home without filing suit or appearing in court before a judge. So it's mad easy. All right. What you do have to do is you have to run a notice in the official county newspaper where the property is located, and that notice is run for 4 consecutive weeks. However, it normally takes 1 to 3 weeks on average for properties in Georgia to be sold. All right. Now, when it comes to listing, that's typically taken care of by the servicer. That's why you pay them the $10 to $15 a month to take care of that. And normally, though, when they become defaulted, you're looking at $20 to $40 a month that you're paying to them in order to have that corrected. Okay. Now, most mortgage companies will stop a foreclosure if you pay back the missed payments, the attorney fees, and the foreclosure costs. Okay. So if you do those 3 things, that's another way in which they can stop the foreclosure. All right. But typically, and this is again, some people say predatory, but I don't think it's predatory because under the law in Georgia, lenders have to wait for a homeowner to become delinquent for at least 120 days before beginning the foreclosure process. All right. Now they got away with not making payments for 3 years. So that's why I say, I know that they know somebody up in that bank. Yes, banks can be a little careless because, they work with so many different mortgage notes and what have you. And even some individual mortgage note holders like myself, when you have more than 20, it can be overwhelming and you may overlook certain things, especially since you do have a lot of mortgage note holders that want to do everything themselves and not hire a servicer. Okay, so again, I don't feel as though this is predatory because they've been given ample amount of time. More than enough time. But because of the divorce, because they owe so many creditors, even if they are able to sell the property in time for $6 million, most of that money is going to go towards legal fees as well as paying off all of the creditors. So anyway, I wish the family luck because this really isn't good when you have kids. I understand, I think 2 of the kids should be adults by now, but the other 4, they're babies, you know. So I wish them well. I'm pretty hopeful. I believe that, you know, with all the connections that they have, someone will throw them a line and will help them out some way, somehow. But yeah, guys, I hope you learned the lesson by what they're going through. No matter how high you get, you still have to discipline yourself. You still have to set a budget. And you still whew, can be suspect, or not suspect. You can be susceptible, if that's the right word. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. But you can be susceptible to what they call lifestyle creep, which I've talked about when I brought up LL Cool J. All right. So, guys, that's all I have for you. Please feel free to share this amongst your friends. Remember, each one, reach one, teach one. Bye for now. Until next time, have a good night.